When I told her I was joining her book club to read together, she laughed and said, "Please, don't mention we're dating. Your taste in books is so basic it'd ruin my vibe." I smiled, but the next week, when she saw who I was discussing literature with, her jaw dropped. Let me start by saying I was once a voracious reader. Not a scholar, but in college I devoured novels, from classics to obscure poetry. My life revolved around late-night discussions, dog-eared pages, and a mind chasing new ideas. After graduation, I launched a tech startup. The grind of coding and pitching drained me. The passion I had for books faded into endless spreadsheets. Over a decade, I lost my spark, not just missing a few bestsellers, but abandoning reading entirely. It weighed heavily on me. For 2 years, I've been with Sarah, a literary influencer whose life is a curated showcase of intellectual chic. We shared my apartment, bought with my startup success. Bills were split, but I covered the rent. I thought we were partners. I supported her bookish persona, even if it felt performative. I was the steady coder behind her spotlight, unaware I was meant to stay hidden. Her book club was her sanctuary, an exclusive group more about clout than reading. She spent hours there, snapping aesthetic photos of novels for her followers. I've been eager to rediscover my love for books and thought. Joining her club would bring us closer. Last week, over coffee in our kitchen, I raised the idea. "Hey," I said, "I'm thinking of joining your book club to get back into reading. Maybe we could discuss books together." She froze mid-sip, her face twisting into dread and pity. "Babe," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "That's sweet, but my book club is my space. It's how I maintain my image." She sighed. "If you join, don't mention we're dating. Your taste in books is so basic it'd ruin my vibe." Her words stung like a slap. Your taste in books is so basic it'd ruin my vibe. It wasn't just a jab, it was a rejection of me as her equal. A threat to her curated persona. I didn't argue. My coder brain kicked in, analyzing the situation like a bug in a program. This relationship was a failing algorithm, time to rewrite the code. I looked at her, face neutral, and said, "Got it." My voice was calm, but inside I was done. She smiled, relieved I didn't push back, oblivious to the shift in my eyes. She thought she'd protected her image. She didn't know she'd ignited my comeback. The next day, I didn't join her book club. I strategized. My battlefield was my laptop, my weapons research and logic. Sarah's jab wasn't just about my reading habits, it was about her brand. In her world, image was everything, and I was a mismatch. So I decided to align myself with someone who'd shake her foundation. Sarah had a rival, Emma, a literary critic with a cult following. Emma was the real deal, published essays, a PhD, and a no-nonsense approach to literature. While Sarah posted pretty book stacks, Emma dissected themes with surgical precision. Their quiet rivalry rattled Sarah's confidence in her own credibility. I spent 2 days studying Emma's work, her blog, engagement, and partnerships. I saw potential. She was brilliant but limited, teaching small workshops. I drafted a 10-page proposal with market analysis, growth strategies, and a clear vision. I reached out to Emma, not as a fan, but as a collaborator. We met at a cozy cafe where I laid out my story, not the drama, but the facts. I was a former bookworm who'd lost his way. I had the drive, resources, and tech skills to rebuild my intellectual fire and be her case study. The pitch: I'd pay double her workshop rate for a 3-month mentorship. She'd guide my literary journey, and we'd document every book, discussion, and breakthrough. We'd hire a professional crew to film it, creating content for a premium online course, The Reader's Revival. I'd handle tech, marketing, and finances. She'd bring expertise. We'd split profits 50-50ths. Emma hesitated. But as I showed her the projections and platform I'd build, her skepticism turned to excitement. This could elevate her brand beyond her dreams. "And Sarah?" she asked, eyebrow raised. "She's irrelevant," I said. "This is about building something real." Emma grinned. "Let's do it." We started the next day, planning, hiring a film crew, and assessing my rusty reading habits. It was humbling. I struggled with dense texts I once breezed through, but that old spark flickered. At home, I played the defeated boyfriend, telling Sarah I'd skipped her book club, agreeing she was right and I'd read at home. She was smug, missing the new notebooks in my bag or my 5 a.m. study sessions. The first week of the Reader's Revival was intense. Emma pushed me to tackle challenging works: philosophy, dense novels, poetry. My brain ached, but I loved it. The film crew captured every moment: my confusion, breakthroughs, and sprawling notes. Sarah didn't notice, too busy curating her perfect image, oblivious to the kale and protein shakes replacing her wine in our fridge. I sent a subtle jab to her book club, a local bookstore, pop up outside their meeting spot, offering free annotated classics, courtesy of Emma Lane's literary hub. It was a calculated move to rattle Sarah before she sat down. The stage was set. A week later, we planned the big moment. Emma's private studio, sleek space with bookshelves and a massive table, was reserved. For our 10 a.m. session, Sarah's book club met simultaneously at a trendy cafe across town. I knew she'd swing by the studio afterward for her usual photo op. Right on cue, Sarah strolled in, clutching a latte, ready to snap her reading shots. She was with her clique, all giggles and aesthetics. Then she saw us through the studio's glass walls, me, mid-debate with Emma, surrounded by a professional crew, cameras, lights, the works. It looked like a documentary shoot. Sarah froze, her latte forgotten. Her basic boyfriend was the star of a high-end production with her rival. She marched to the glass, her friends trailing. I caught her eye mid-sentence and gave a curt nod, polite, distant, final, then turned back to Emma, diving into our discussion. Sarah stood stunned, then stormed out, her posse scrambling behind. The cameras caught it all, perfect footage for our promo. That night, Sarah was waiting, fuming. What was that? She spat. You with Emma, cameras in my space? I unpacked my bag calmly. You told me not to mention we're dating at your club because my taste was too basic. So, I found someone who saw value in me. This isn't about you. She had no response. The next day, our first Reader's Revival video dropped, showing my journey struggling with texts, rediscovering my passion. It ended with, "The Reader's Revival, reclaim your mind." It exploded online. My dormant socials buzzed with support. Sarah's posts, all curated perfection, looked hollow. Her followers questioned her authenticity, especially after whispers of her reaction spread. 2 weeks later, I ended things, telling her that her words revealed her true character. I gave her 30 days to move out my apartment, my rules. She begged and cried, but I was done. Over the next 3 months, I read like a man reborn. My mind sharpened. My curiosity roared back. The Reader's Revival launched, selling thousands of subscriptions. Sarah moved to a cramped flat with a friend. Her online presence faded. I saw her recently at a bookstore, looking worn, clutching a romance novel. She saw me confident, alive, and turned away. I felt no anger, just peace. She wanted to hide me to protect her image. I rebuilt mine instead. And that's a damn good story. If this story hit home, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs a spark. Subscribe and hit the bell for more raw, real journeys. Drop a comment. What's your comeback story? Let's inspire each other to rise.